Good morning. The LA Kings return to Edmonton, and they're going to try and see if they can take the advantage in their first round playoff series in the Stanley Cup. Meanwhile, the Dodgers have a 6-game winning streak snapped, and we are 1/3 of the way through the MLS season. So who you got? LAFC or the LA Galaxy? Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is May 10th. I am still stuck in Omaha, Nebraska, trying to make a little extra money in a horrifying economy. But we did get new subscribers yesterday, so I appreciate you joining in. If you like the content we've been putting out for the last couple of months, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. We try to put out a new video between 9 and 10 a.m. every single day. The notification bell lets you know it's there. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and comment, because I'm not perfect. If I were, would I really be sleeping in this crap hole hotel? Right? So before we get to the scoreboard and the notes, I just wanted to give you a little bit of flavor of what it's like out here. I got off work early this morning. The Uber driver was taking me back, and we were passing all the feces plantations, and got a chance to listen to Omaha Sports Talk Radio, and the host was just apoplectic, complaining about how the Cornhuskers, how they just can't compete now that you have to pay the athletes, right? Oh, we're losing all the top recruits because we don't have any money. Really? You've never heard of Warren Buffett? Really? I mean, dude, just because you're on food stamps doesn't mean the entire state is dirt poor. I mean, I realize you live in the dirt, but you're not all dirt poor. Stop it. Call Berkshire Hathaway, have the old guy cut a check, get your ass back in the top 25. It's not that hard. We'll take a quick look at the scoreboard yesterday. Pittsburgh, they defeated the Dodgers 5-1. Now, this was a really big thing for the Pirates. They had lost 16 consecutive games to the Dodgers. That was a streak that went all the way back to 2018. Now, the Dodgers and Pittsburgh will play again at 3:30 today, and the Kings will play Edmonton at 7. That series, by the way, tied 2-2. Now, for the Kings, it was a surprise start for Carl Grundstrom in Game 4, and he came through with a couple of goals, but I think the key to that game was for the first time in the series, they stopped the Oilers' power play. We were talking about it before the series started. It was like Edmonton had a superior advantage in the man advantage. And the Kings were just getting crushed every time they went to the penalty box. Last Game 4 was the first time in the series that there were no power play goals for Edmonton. So what becomes the key tonight and for the rest of the series? Well, in my opinion, Anze Kopitar just has to step it up. He's only had 2 points in 4 games. He's their number 1 center. At some point, you need your top line to produce. It's time for Anze Kopitar to lift his team. You know, it's a slow time of the year. And I love the Dodgers, but I don't want to make them the focal point of every episode, right? But some people, one team is all they talk about. That's it, just one team. Take the Mccovey Chronicles. Now, you might hear the name Mccovey and assume that the show is going to be about the San Francisco Giants. But you would be wrong. No. The latest edition of the Mccovey Chronicles spent an entire hour. The host just could not stop bitching over which Dodger they hated more, Justin Turner or Max Muncy. I like Justin Turner and Max Muncy. I couldn't even find enough reasons to spend an hour talking about liking them, let alone hating. I'd like the Mccovey Chronicles people to know that we wouldn't do that here at Faithful Angelenos, because there are no San Francisco Giants worthy of my attention, let alone hate, okay? I mean, Buster Posey retired. I don't even know any of you guys, so stop it. Let me tell you something about LA sports that I'd like people from outside LA to understand. We have haters. We know we have haters, and we just don't care. You're just not that important to us. I'm not spending hours of my life belly aching about, I don't know, Madison Bumgarner? Where the hell is he now? USC football, they lose a linebacker. Julian Falanico has transferred to Idaho. And by using the logic of Omaha Sports Talk Radio, Idaho outbid us. We just couldn't compete with the money from Idaho. There we are, just shaking our fist in despair and rage over the ill-gotten gains that Big Potato laid on a 3-star linebacker. Let's talk soccer. We did this comparison once before this year, before the first El Tráfico, because I find the LA Galaxy and LAFC to be fascinating. Major League Soccer, in my opinion, it's a lot of fun. And it is national, and they are trying to grow the product, but right now you could argue that 2 of the top 3, 2 of the top 4 teams right in Los Angeles. And at first blush, you want to automatically give it to LAFC because they're at the top of the Western Conference standings, and you know they got the flashy gear or whatever. But I think if you really take a second look, this is a lot closer than you think. So let's just break it down. We'll talk about offense first. Now, LAFC has a variety of scoring options. They play a 4-3-3, and the 4-3-3 creates a lot of chances, and they have been converting on them. LAFC leads the league in scoring. They've had 23 goals. LA Galaxy, honestly, not so much. They've had fewer than half those number of goals. They've only had 11 so far this year. Now, Chicharito's off to a good start. He's like 2 goals behind the league leader for goals, but he hasn't been getting a lot of help. So offense, yeah, you definitely go to LAFC. But then you start looking around, take the designated players, and I would argue that it's a push for both LAFC and the Galaxy. Now, if you're a Galaxy fan, you're sitting there and you've been like really pissed at Douglas Costa. He was a new designated player. He came on this year. And of course, Kevin Cabral from last year. They're both stinking up the joint. They've both combined they played over 1,000 minutes, and they've combined for 1 goal and no assists. So you might be sitting there going, well, hell, why isn't LAFC way ahead in terms of designated players? Because Carlos Vela isn't scoring either. And I never thought I would say that. I think he's terrific, but he hasn't scored in 8 consecutive games. And meanwhile, LAFC, they have 2 open DP spots that they've never bothered to fill. Now, don't get me wrong, they may get a couple of world beaters as designated players, and all of a sudden, they definitely would tip the scales in their favor. But I'm talking about at this moment, and at this moment, in terms of DPs, it's a push. Strength of schedule, I'm going to argue that the Galaxy has had a tougher one so far. Because if you look at what LAFC have done, yeah, they've gotten wins. They've played Miami, Vancouver, and Cincinnati. All 3 of them not really that good. And they've only played 4 road games so far. Meanwhile, the Galaxy have only played 4 home games, right? And it's true, I will grant you that LAFC played Philly, and that was a very compelling 2-2 draw. But the Galaxy have played the defending champs in NYCFC. They've already played Seattle, albeit a loss to them. I will grant you that. And of course, they played LAFC and beat them. So I'm saying the Galaxy had a tougher schedule. Defense, you got to go with the Galaxy right now. And I'll be honest with you, I never saw it coming. I didn't think they'd be that good on defense. Last year, they gave up more than 50 goals. Right now, they are leading the league in fewest goals allowed with 7. Never saw that coming. And I think it was structural as well as talent. If you remember, Greg Vanney, the manager, started the year with a 4-2-3 formation. And the idea, I think, was to have the 2 defensive midfielders help out the 4-man back line. Well, now the back line has gained confidence over time. So the Galaxy have changed their formation. Chase Gaspar, Derek Williams, Sega Koulibaly, Julian Araujo, they're all confident now. And if you compare that to what LAFC does, LAFC plays that high defensive line in the 4-3-3. They're asking their defensive players to contribute to the offense. As a result, they get exposed on defense sometimes, and that has hurt them. It hasn't been fatal, but it has hurt them. Goal? I'm saying it's a push. I mean, LAFC's approach, they just wanted a guy in the net that they could trust. They weren't asking for the best possible goalie in the world. They were just saying, look, we had problems in the net. We just want somebody that we know can do the job. And I think they have that in Maxime Crepeau. But Jonathan Bond has 5 clean sheets, 5 shutouts. I mean, that's more than what he had all of last year. I mean, I can't disrespect LAFC's goaltender, but I think you'd be making a huge mistake if you're an LAFC supporter by trying to disrespect Jonathan Bond. They've both been solid. You can't clown that. So which team would you rather be? Now you tell me. I'm going to go with the Galaxy at this point. I'm not saying it would be like if they played today that the Galaxy would win by 3 goals. But I think there's a reason that the Galaxy have had LAFC's number head-to-head over time. And I think I do believe that's a big part of it. And on top of that, LA right now, the Galaxy, they're 4-1-1 in their last 6 games. And 2 of the teams that they played in that 6-game schedule are really high in the Supporters Shield race. And they won both of those games, Austin and LAFC. It's a lot closer than you realize when you look at it. I'm not trying to say LAFC is lucky for leading the Western Conference. No, well, there's definite talent there. I'm very surprised that Steve Cherundolo has done such a bang-up job as their manager. And I think, honestly, both fan bases ought to at some point sit back and appreciate that both teams are this strong, because that's what makes El Tráfico so much fun to watch. But you give me your opinion. Look forward to hearing it. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, thank you. By all means, like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos so that we can keep building this audience. I'm James. We'll see you tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Quian Corte El Queso production. Take care.